Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. So the time has finally arrived. This is a video that has been a long time coming. I've been procrastinating a bit because a video like this takes a lot of work, and I know that it probably won't end up perfect, but I am going to try my best. A lot of hard work went into making this video. So we're finally going to break down, discuss, and explain the first part of the Duel Terminal story / lore. Which I have aptly named Alien Invasion. For those of you guys who don't know, the Duel Terminal is a planet in a distant galaxy far, far away where many of the archetypes that we know and love in this game today live. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and allow me to tell you the tale of how the First Great War went down. In the world of the Duel Terminal lived many tribes and clans, all of which were constantly locked in unending wars and struggles with each other for supremacy. While the battles were infinite, the irony was no tribe truly had the power to finish off another, and thus were fairly equal. In a weird way, there was actually balance among all this war. That, of course, was only until that one fateful day, a day that still lives in infamy in the Duel Terminal world. The day that the invaders suddenly appeared and the battle between tribes was brought to an abrupt halt. Riding the W Nubella meteorite, invaders from outer space crashed on the planet, and unfortunately for our tribes, they were none too friendly. Fierce, powerful, and more importantly, organized. The aliens, or worms as they were codenamed, started to ravage the land, attacking all who dared stand in their way. They had a perfect hierarchy amongst their army, with the king giving out the commands while the lower level soldiers carried out the attacks. The tribes, however, were not simply going to sit back and watch their planet become ash. General FLAMVELL fought bravely, scorching many of the land forces who attempted to attack his tribe. And in another clash, the ice barriers reluctantly released Baronic, one of the 3 ancient ice dragons that had been sealed away for years. He alone was able to push back hundreds of worms with his power. Having been blindsided with a sudden invasion and now facing possible annihilation, the tribes and clans did something that no one thought would ever happen. They formed a truce and decided to unite together in this fight. The 4 most powerful tribes banded together to form their own organization. The X-Sabers, the Mist Valley, the FLAMVELL, and the Ice Barriers all together created what would become the Ally of Justice. They agreed not only to work together in this fight, but also to share technology and craft so that they could create anti-worm weapons. One of the first creations was CATASTOR. His performance on the battlefield was stellar and led to sizable gains in every battle that he was used in. This also coincided with the creation of the GENEX, which were autonomous units that could be used as power reactors. What may have been the biggest shame is that no one was safe from the path of destruction that the war caused. With each passing day, the war simply intensified, causing it to spill over into the forest, where one of the most peaceful tribes, the NATURIA, resided. They truly disliked fighting, but they were forced to defend their homeland. They were battle ready, being led by NATURIA Leodrake, whose fierce claws and fangs tore apart the enemies who set foot in the NATURIA forest. Now, while the Ally of Justice had been successful in many of their battles versus the worms, it wasn't all sunshine and paradise. Rather than annihilating the worms, the engineers started to shift their focus to capturing and analyzing them in an attempt to use the foreign invaders' powers to further strengthen the Ally of Justice, while the scientists used elements and substances found at the worm Nubella to further increase the power of their battle-ready machines. Upset with the premise of capturing and using the enemy, the Mist Valley clan seemed to grow distant from the other tribes and began to only desire fighting alongside each other. In an event that no one could have predicted, the cacophony of the wars on the surface caused the legendary creatures only known as the Fabled Ones, who had been sleeping deep beneath the Earth's surface, to awaken. These gods lent a hand to the Ally of Justice in their battle against the alien invaders, but it was all in the name of fulfilling their own and dark ambitions. After having watched many battles desolate the ground below, fabled VALKYRUS descended on the nearby realms of the JURRAC. He was probably up to no good. The invasion of the worms had barely affected the JURRAC, but when the wicked gods known as the Fabled suddenly struck, the JURRAC fought back with the flames that covered their bodies. As the battle stretched across the land and the conflicts became more fierce, the GENEX machines began to modify their bodies for ones more suitable to combat. The advent of the Fabled, along with the invasion of the worms, drove the world into the height of chaos and confusion. The tribes thought of the fabled as untrustworthy, but they feared death from the worms. This was truly a no-win situation. And to make matters much worse, even when they defeated the worms time and time again, they would simply reappear the next day, like crashing waves in the midst of a storm. Combine this with the many confirmed sightings of the ruler of the fabled, who go by the name of Leviathan, who had been seen on the battlefield many times ordering indiscriminate hit-and-run attacks, as if he simply enjoyed relishing at the idea of causing chaos on the battlefield. The suspicions of the tribes had all been but confirmed. Feeling the ever-growing need to become even more productive against the worms in the war, the GENEX machines reached their limit of self-improvement and became the GENEX. They had to give up some of their power output in the process, but their battle capabilities grew tremendously. Being Asianized white dragons' favorite archetype of all time, meaning of course they instantly suck, the ice barriers were rapidly falling in numbers and were forced to release the second ancient dragon. With even the slightest breath, Gangeir's diamond dust instantly turned thousands of worms into frozen sculptures. Having cut themselves off from the Ally of Justice, the Mist Valley clan had been fighting without help from anyone else, forcing them into a difficult battle with unending hordes of the alien invaders without any ability to call for aid. And just as many of the Mist Valley warriors started to lose their will to fight, suddenly appeared knights from the sky from a gust of wind. These troops that rushed to aid in the crisis of the Mist Valley were known as the legendary Dragon Knights, DRAGUNITY. This family of incredibly powerful knights had passed down the secrets of using dragons. The DRAGUNITY are said to be able to become one in body and mind with their dragons. Said to live in the Dragon's Ravine, a place whose existence has practically become a myth. The DRAGUNITY appear only in the midst of turmoil and unrest. In the main conflict, the invasion of the worms had become strangely sporadic, but the tribes and clans hurried constructing their ultimate weapon, expecting the final battle was nearing. The Ally of Justice quarantine had detected a large distortion in space, but the tear would soon become so large that it would be visible from miles away. It was the worms calling forth their mightiest weapon, one that would truly let them conquer this trivial planet and lay waste to the tribes. It was daunting, horrifying. It was known as the Worm Zero. Zero grew rapidly, consuming other worms, and it grew to be nearly as large as the city that it was in. Many of the tribes feared death and couldn't hide the despair on their faces. But this would not be the day that the Duel Terminal was brought to its knees. The Ally of Justice engineers had just finished their trump card, Decisive Armor. Its mind-blowingly powerful fuel rod cannons lit up the sky like fireworks, and as it shot right through Worm Zero, the tribes knew that they were finally able to defeat the worms and put an end to the invasion. Freed from the threat of the worms, the tribes and clans were joyous, but that joy did not last long. The fabled ones, who had calmly been watching, finally decided to make their move in a scheme of world conquest. On the other side, the GENEX and the Ally of Justice negotiated and decided to work together. New weapons were made to destroy the fabled, whose numbers continued to surge further over the planet. These weapons were made by combining the power reactors of the GENEX and the technology used by the Ally of Justice. This resulted in creations such as GENEX Ally. The JURRACs were victims of the most intense attacks of the fabled in their scheme for world domination. They decided to fight back by transforming their bodies into meteors, and they completely razed the land where the fabled dwelled. From the ashes, a new fire was born, the FLAMVELL. The wishes of those who had lost their bodies by dropping the meteors awoke the god of the ancient flames. The tribe of fire became one with the ancient deity, sweeping away the fable that remained in their realm. Due to the endless struggle, the world had been ravaged by war after war. Based on the situation, the Ice Barrier tribe decided to do what had been deemed completely forbidden and break the seal of Trishula, the final ancient ice dragon. Little did they know that doing such a thing would lead to the destruction of the entire planet. Now awoken from its slumber, the oldest and strongest dragon, Trishula, easily raged out of control of the ice barrier that the three generals had formed to restrain the mighty beasts. With the voice of the medium unable to reach the rampaging ice dragon and the mirror completely powerless before it, in the end, the mighty dragon Trishula's wrath could not be quenched, and he froze over the entire planet, causing time to stop, and truly bringing an end to the first great war in the Duel Terminal world and an end to our story. Woo! So that definitely took a lot longer to produce than most of my videos. Anyways, glad to do it. So let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the Duel Terminal story part 1, give this video a big thumbs up. If you guys really enjoyed the video, then I'll start working on part 2. May take me a little bit longer because Duel Terminal story part 2 is it's significantly longer than the first part. And then if you guys want, I can do other lore videos as well. Thank you guys for watching as always. Subscribing makes life happy.